Yeah, speaking of Avengers, all three of us went to Disneyland, California Adventures, Avengers Campus. What'd you guys think about it?
It was pretty cool. It was I would say like it like met and probably it went beyond my expectations. Is what I was trying to say.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. I guess the we can get into the Spider-Man ride a little bit, where that was maybe a little bit underwhelming, but
That was a flop.
it was cool. I wouldn't say that it was bad, but I don't know if it was like, I don't know, like of the similar hype of this, what's it, the Rise of the Resistance. I guess it was equal to the first Star Wars Land ride, where it's like the environment's kind of cool and the interaction's kind of cool, but
Yeah.
then you're like, oh, okay, I could do that a couple more times, then that'd probably be good for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we
So
waited. Go ahead, Arthur.
Oh no, so I was just gonna say, like, for people who haven't been there or read about it, so kind of what Justin's talking about is California Adventure has this new Spider-Man themed ride. They're using a queue system to get into the ride. And so in the ride you go through and basically Peter Parker's having like an open house. You get like they have like pretty cool like projection thing of him, and you go to help him, and the way the ride works is it's kind of like if you've ever been on or seen Toy Story Midway Mania, but it's like kind of like a shooting game basically.
Mhm.
But it basically has like super advanced Xbox connects on the car, and you could just move your arm in a Spider-Man motion to shoot the web, and you're shooting all these little things. But the ride, I think, was probably like 5 minutes or less. um
Maybe even less. It felt like you essentially moved from screen to screen, and like, I mean, how many screens could have there have been? Like maybe
It was like three or
four or
three or
five.
four.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
it
was
was
it
yeah.
was
three
it
because there's
four?
only
There's three.
places in the campus. So I think it was, I know you saw the Guardians, you saw where the Quinjet is, and then maybe the Sanctum.
I think it was the Sanctum. Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Mhm.
there's only three places. You're probably at each one for like 30 seconds,
Oh no, well, I
30,
was
40
talking about even
seconds.
in the ride too, like the Spider-Man ride, the like screens that you're at and stuff.
No, the
But
screens
yeah.
were places
Oh.
in the campus.
Oh.
Hmm.
I didn't even realize that. I was looking at the
Hmm.
spiders the whole time.
Yeah, they were all different locations within the campus.
He was like, I was trying to save the world real quick.
Yeah, I was
That's what I
trying to
was
save the
trying to
world.
do.
Uh, Interesting. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's a cool ride. I agree with you. Well, what were you going to talk about it, Yams?
I think you touched on what I was gonna say. I think I was gonna say, would you wait? Because when we went, obviously Disney is still at limited capacity, and we had boarding passes, so the wait wasn't as long or terrible. It was like probably 30 minutes that we were in line. But would you wait 45 plus minutes, uh, or like an hour to go back on that ride, or would that be a ride that you're just kind of like, nah, I don't mind not going on it again?
I think I definitely want to ride it at least one more time, like Justin said, but I'd probably say I would be more on the side of like, if they continue to do the queue system is cool. Or it like if I'm able to get a fast pass, then I would do it.
Mm.
Cause then like the fast pass, I'm sure it'd be like the same thing where you kind of just go whip it in there and you're in there in like 30 minutes and you're out. But I definitely like, for example, Toy Story Midway Mania, which is very similar and is a longer ride. Um, that one gets up to like an hour, hour and a half sometimes, especially like
Yeah.
during peak summertime. And I won't wait in line for that because to me, it's just
Yeah.
it's a glorified arcade game.
Yeah, I've never understood how that ride gets so crazy consistently. It's
Kids,
I guess,
it's
yeah.
an easy ride that you could take kids to, and then they like Toy
Uh,
Story.
yeah.
Would be my guess.
So I looked at the Spider-Man ride. There's four screens, and it's approximately like 3 minutes and 30 seconds long of like ride time, or like screen time, I guess. And then that's it.
So less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's
And
the thing.
then
Like, if you're waiting in line for like an hour and you go in there and it's 3 minutes, like I get these rides are all short, but it just felt like super quick,
If you're
like
waiting in
super
it
line,
quick.
it did feel quick.
if you're waiting in line, you're not getting any bang for the buck of your time.
No, not at
like
all.
none whatsoever. If you're
And then
waiting an hour for
also,
that,
I was gonna say, Arthur, you might want to talk about how it's pay to win,
oh yeah,
how the
pay
ride
to play,
is
baby.
yeah, it's a freemium game. It's a
Yes.
real life freemium.
Yeah, it is a real life freemium game. So basically the way the game works is I said you can flick your arms in a Spider-Man fashion, and it does keep score, so you could compete with your friends, and see how your car did. But they also sell these Spider-Man like web slinger toys that like strip to your wrist, and so they have like 3 or 4 different ones, and they're not cheap. So first off, they're like, I think they're like $30 or something like that, and they also require a battery pack that is like another $30. So like
Mhm.
you're spending about like 50, close to $60 by the time you buy 2 of these things. They are made so that they can kind of be a toy afterwards when you take home. But each one basically gives you some sort of special ability. So they have like 2 versions of like an Iron Man repulsor beam that shoots explosions. They have one that shoots, looks like a traditional like Spider-Man, a kind of web slinger thing, and that shoots like 3 webs instead of one. And then if you can just buy the battery pack, and then the battery pack works, as I think it shoots like electricity bolts because it's a battery pack. I guess that makes sense. So it shoots like electric web to the spiders that makes them explode. And then if you use that at home, the only thing it does is a projector, um, that shoots like a little Spider-Man logo, I guess, similar to the end of Spider-Man Homecoming when they find the little Spider-Man thing shooting up on the ceiling. Um, so yeah, I mean, it is a significant score difference, if that's something you care about. But yeah, either your arms are going to be super sore trying to get as much as you can, but
Yeah,
you're probably not going to get the same as shooting repulsor beams. But it's
yeah,
pretty expensive, and then you
yeah.
consider like how short the ride is. Another thing, like I've talked to Justin and Yami about that I didn't enjoy, is that there isn't really like any prep or instruction or even hype.
Mm.
I feel like it. So like, we kind of walked to the right and somebody happened to see that we had it and kind of told us how to set it too, but nobody told us exactly what motion we needed to be doing or how we would do it. And so there wasn't even like any video or instructions when you get on there of like, oh, hey, like if you bought the web slinger upgrade, like this is what you're going to do.
Yeah,
Nothing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you could have just dropped $60. The person could have not seen that you had it, and you're going to walk on and it's not
Had
going
in
to
the
do
wrong
anything.
setting, right? Yeah,
Yep.
you use it
For those
wrong.
3 minutes.
Yeah, for 3 minutes. By the time you figure it out, it's over. Like,
Yeah,
And that's
it's
the
pretty rough.
thing, like, yeah, like it's so expensive. But again, like not surprising because everything in Disneyland is expensive, like whatever. You kind of expect it, but for it to not, you pay so like $60 for this gadget, and it's like you don't get any type of direction of like, oh, this is how you use it in the ride. In the ride, throughout the line, throughout the videos, there's no one telling you or like nothing that indicates this is how you use it during the ride. So if that worker hadn't been passing by us, because not even the workers or the cast members that were like loading us on to the cart or
mhm.
whatever, they didn't tell us anything. So
Yeah,
if that cast member hadn't been walking by us and saw that we had it and she was like, oh, make sure that you have it on this setting, you would have spent $60 to not see anything happen.
nothing.
My
Yeah,
disappointment
that would have been
is
pretty rough.
immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Yeah, I mean, and there should be no expectation for me to know how to use it because this ride is
Mm-hmm.
only 3 weeks old by the time we wrote it. So,
Mhm.
it is literally 3 weeks old. So it's not like, oh, like, people have been writing this forever. Like they kind of know how it goes. And there's a lot of people like Paul, RIP, who never wants to come on here anymore. Just kidding. He's working. But
He's saving forest fires. That's what
yeah,
he's
he's
doing.
he's saving
Yeah.
California from being completely on
Mm-hmm.
fire.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but Paul doesn't like any type of spoilers. He likes to be completely surprised by stuff. So he is totally the type of person that would not read into the land before going. So that way he could experience as a fresh experience. And then maybe he saw that and they're like, oh, hey, this works on the ride. You know, he's saying, hey, I've been saving up my coins from saving forests, buys it. And then he just like doesn't know how to do it because there's no freaking instructions or anything.
Exactly.
It's all very, very vague, and they just kind of shove you in there so quickly. You don't really know what's going on.
And I only kind of knew about that stuff because Yami was saying, like, she's like, oh, I never heard of it or knew that that's what it did. But I only knew about it because I read into it a little bit and kind of knew like how the ride worked and stuff. So somebody who wanted to just be surprised and then maybe learned about it that day, they wouldn't have known anything. And personally, I think for Disney trying to take all my money all the time, they should have had like a shop to sell it as part of his open house. Of like, hey, we're selling so and so's tech, you know, as of whatever, and you know, and then had somebody like helping you, like, oh, this is how it works, and like getting you set up. This is what you're gonna do, and then you kind of get people hyped about it. So then they're gonna want to buy it. Like, oh, well, maybe we should buy it, you know. And then the people who already bought it or the people who buy it right then know how it works. So
yeah.
Someone online said that this is the first ride to have a DLC. So, you know, it's very true. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah. But I have to say, overall, I really did enjoy Avengers Campus. A little maybe bit of a controversial statement is I liked it more than Star Wars Galaxy Edge.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
That is pretty brave.
That is brave.
As a like huge Star Wars head, I've loved Star Wars longer than I've loved Marvel because I've really jumped on in the MCU 10 plus years ago, I guess. I just felt like there was more to do and more to experience in the Avengers Campus, where I feel like Galaxy's Edge for me, the shortfall is it is amazing. It is a great immersive experience. Like, you do not feel like you're at Disneyland. You do not feel like you're at a theme park. You feel like you've just in this completely different world, and it feels like it. But that whole place to me is pay to play. So well, the Spider-Man ride is pay to play. Like Galaxy Edge to me is pay to play. Like, they have this really cool lightsaber experience. I think you said you did, Justin, right?
Yeah.
And it's like $200, right?
Yeah, it was not cheap. It was very cool. It was very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Like, I've seen some videos of it. It is super cool. But and you get to keep the lightsaber, but it's $200 to be able to be a part of this. Other than that, there's 2 rides. One is okay. The other's really cool, but it breaks all the time. And that one is just like amazing. The ride is amazing. And that, I would say, like, probably is a saving grace of Galaxy's Edge. But besides that, just walking around it, like, there's just stuff to buy. Like, it's just like you're here to spend money. Yes. It's a strip mall. It's literally like in a strip shape. So it's like a strip mall, and it's an immersive strip mall that you don't feel like you're at a regular mall, but
you spend credits at.
Yeah. But like Avengers Campus, I felt like had a lot to offer as like experience wise. I mean, they have like the Spider-Man thing. You want guys kind of want to talk about the Spider-Man stuff they have?
Yeah, that was sick. The Spider-Man, like, what do you even call it? Like a gymnastics robot, I guess? Or like, what do you call that thing? It's not an animatronic. It's that thing was crazy.
Yeah, and they do that like every like 30-45 minutes or so. Like, it's pretty often, so it's pretty hard to miss. If you go there, you're going to see it. But they kind of have like Spider-Man coming out to do a test, and it is fucking amazing. Like,
okay, but tell them about the before the test.
Okay, the first part, Spider-Man comes out and he's on like a balcony and he goes, hey, we're gonna do a test, like, watch this. It's just a guy rolling on some boxes and jumping up and down.
It's like that episode of The Office when they're doing parkour. Yeah, it was very similar to that.
Yes. The coolest thing he does is a backflip off a box. But it's definitely some low-level parkour.
He really just rolls on it, though. He was really just rolling on it.
Yeah.
It definitely reminded me of what was it, Mad TV. There was a character named like Stuart.
Yep.
Look, and he would always go like, hey, look what I could do, and he would do
Yeah.
like some like really like
Like a
weird
jump or something,
shit.
right?
Yes, yeah, he would always do like a weird jump or something. And like that's kind of course
we
it's an
come out.
ad. Like that's what he would
You
always
gotta download an
do.
ad blocker, dog.
Damn. And hack the
It-
tube.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, he did.
Dude, I think you might have the same ways.
Yeah. Of course, it wasn't at the part where he's actually saying, "Look what I can do," but yeah, like it was very basic parkour-ish. And
That was
it's
funny.
funny.
Yeah, it was not impressive at all. They could have really not done without it. The cooler thing. Yeah. The cooler thing actually was how they had Spider-Man's like, I guess before and after before that little show, like right before we were gonna wait in line, there was like a Spider-Man that was like hanging out in a separate area from when that show happened.
Yes.
And there was like a little like
yes.
pre-show happening that was kind of cool, where he's like talking to Tony Stark about like, oh, like, or he's like trying to calibrate his shit or whatever, and then Tony Stark calls in. I thought that was pretty cool. That like,
Yes.
even before the show, there's like
Yeah,
immersive
'cause
stuff happening.
He
There's a
was
show
literally
before the
just
show.
hanging.
Yeah, exactly.
He was literally just hanging from like almost the entrance of the ride,
yeah,
just hanging on there, talking and
Like
waving,
hanging
and
like
that's
Spider-Man. So like imagine
like-
him
yeah,
upside
hanging
down.
from a pole. So like
And
that's
you
pretty
can
sick.
see that it's wrapped around his waist and it's a safety belt, but you got to
know what?
use a little bit of imagination. You got to meet them halfway
come
with
on,
this.
come on.
Yeah,
So-
we can't just put up a guy up there and expect him to do all this shit. Like now
Well,
we're asking
it's
for
Disney.
too much.
I'm paying a lot of money
I mean,
I
could
just
they have
paid
hired
$60
someone- Yeah.
to upgrade a 3-minute ride.
Yep. Could they have hired someone maybe a little bit better at parkour? Like,
Now you guys coming after this guy. Come on, it was hot.
they don't even.
It was hot.
It was hot. It was hot.
I almost had heat exhaustion. I almost knew what heat exhaustion was that day because
Yeah.
I was going through it. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
he climbed down a wall.
Yeah. Well,
that was cool.
you got to
He
meet
did.
him halfway with imagination. You could see the safety belt.
But he did have perfect form going down though. Which,
He did.
You know,
Yeah, he was kind of thick too.
He was kind of thick. he was the alternate Spider-Man with the Nick Miller Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what I was gonna say was the other thing that kind of I was like, I don't even know what the word is, but kind of annoyed me, I guess, or whatever, was when they did the little like, there was like a little Avengers show where some bad guys show up and they're trying to steal some shit, and then the Avengers show up to fuck them up. And I was like, and then they had a Scarlett Johansson voice that was not Scarlett Johansson. It was a very bad Scarlett Johansson. I'm like, really? Like,
You couldn't get ScarJo?
You couldn't get ScarJo. How much?
You
How
know
much
what?
was she asking
Honestly,
for?
you know
Come
what
on.
all those characters' voices sounded like, and I think Yami, you'll get it. Is they sounded like the Marvel versus Capcom game. Like they sounded like the Marvel game where they have like characters. Like they weren't trying to sound like the MCU characters. They were just trying to sound like, Black Widow or Black Panther or
Yeah, and so I don't know. Oh, what, Yami?
Because I was like, even
But the
'cause
Tony
in
Stark
that-
voice is Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, and Spider-Man's what's his name?
It's Tom Holland. Yeah,
Tom Holland. Yeah,
they
yeah,
spent
so
all the
that
funds
was good.
there.
Yeah, for real.
Those are the main characters you want, though,
Yeah, but I was like that
because it's
that,
mostly about them,
that Black Widow is so bad though. It sounded
Yeah.
like Black Widow. She was from Texas or like Oklahoma or something. There was this weird Southern drawl to it. I was like, what is this?
But then the T'Challa too, in that same
Wow.
thing, that wasn't his voice.
Well,
yeah,
he's
I mean,
passed.
Well, I know he's
R.I.P.,
passed,
okay.
but this has
R.I.P..
been.
Damn,
I think you're
damn.
okay. Now you guys are just making me
You know,
feel bad
Wakanda
for
forever.
saying.
You know,
Like,
we
how
live
come
in
they
saying-
couldn't
Wakanda
get
forever.
Chadwick Boseman? Well, Yami,
I'm
he
not saying
passed
why
away.
couldn't they get Chadwick Boseman, but I'm just saying
He
like
passed away, Yami.
I know he passed away, but how long was this in the making? And the voice, after you're listening to Chad, like how are you gonna go to that? And why did I just call him Chad? Like I knew him like that.
But
But
I mean, it is very cool though, because like like, a lot of places where you go to in Disneyland, you kind of like may run into like a certain character depending on what time you're there.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have to check the map and like, oh, like, well, Minnie's already been here for the day, so you're not going to see her, like, whatever it is. This place is ass packed with like Avengers
Yeah.
characters that like
Yeah, that was
there's
pretty
no
cool.
way you're gonna go and not see at least like 5, 6, 7 Avengers if you're there like for an hour. Like,
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool. Like I said, the Avengers show, like you just said, like, besides the drawbacks, it is still entertaining and cool to see. And it's free.
Yeah.
The at the
Free.
Sanctum, they have like a cool show where Doctor Strange comes out and kind of does some magic with Dormammu. And that's super cool. It's free. That one was like every like 45 minutes to an hour. We didn't see the Dora Milaje. They do like a little like training thing. I think it actually probably happened, Yams, when we went to go in line for Doctor Strange, when they were kicking us off from sitting in that area, because I think that's where it takes place.
Oh,
But I mean,
that's when we were
there's just-
having. That's when we were having heat exhaustion. That's when we were almost
Yep.
passing out.
Yep.
but that's why I like it better than Galaxy's Edge, because there's just stuff you could see and do. Like, am I going to go every time to go see that Doctor Strange thing? Probably not. But if I'm walking by and it's happening, like, I'll probably stop and look, because it's still pretty cool. But like, there's just stuff you could see and kind of like interact with and do. And like, because even in Galaxy's Edge, like, I ran into Rey once. I've seen Chewbacca just walking by, and the stormtroopers, like, they try to stay in character that they're just patrolling. So like, you can't really like interact with them much. It's kind of just like, oh, like, they just walked by me. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was cool. I definitely think it's worth. I think but you guys ate at the PIM test kitchen. How was the
Mhm.
food?
It was pretty good. I honestly thought the food we're getting was going to be bigger, but the picture they show kind of messes with you. It's all about angles and lighting and whatnot. But no, the chicken sandwich I had was cool. It was kind of funny. It's just a big chicken patty with little slider buns, which was, whatever. What else did we have? We had the giant pretzel that was good. The drinks, they were really good, actually. They had some mixed drinks that were really good. And that might be a new go-to for me when we go there. I really liked the couple of drinks that I had. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was cool. I did see the Thor beer thing that you brought up, where they were filled from the bottom. That was
Oh,
pretty sick, but they only did that for like four drinks, and I didn't notice any reason why it was those four. But I just caught someone ordering it, and
was that at the test kitchen too,
it was the naming is kind of confusing.
or the
There's a
test
test
lab?
kitchen, and then there's like a tasting lab or something,
Yeah.
or one way or the other. And so
I
it's
think
at
you're
the
right.
bar.
Yeah.
The bar is outside, so it's whatever the bar is, the tasting lab or testing
Yeah.
lab or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and then they have the shawarma carts from the end of Avengers, even though that was a shawarma restaurant, but that shit was bussin' and was pretty good. And
That was
honestly,
very
like,
good.
100%, like, if I go to Disneyland and need to eat something, I would definitely get that again. It's like $12. It's just a cart. It was probably the best Disney food I've had from a cart, because I actually don't
Honestly, it's really good.
I don't care for Disney food, because it's just like, it's just cheap mass produced food. But like,
Expensive.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
expensive. And it's just kind of whatever. But I thought this was really good. You get a shawarma and a little tzatziki's side sauce. And it was pretty good, especially for the price too. It would definitely fill you up.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
had veggie options.
They did had a lot of veggie options there.
If any of the 5 to 13 or
what's that?
19.
About
Our
13.
veggies.
5, I would say 5 to 13 is pretty solid right now. Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, yeah.
so
But
yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. So yeah, definitely, if you're in California, to go check it out. I think our most consistent listeners are not in California, but if you're ever on a trip here in California, check it out. Definitely think
Hit it
it's
up.
worth it.
Just don't, I know it's hard, but just maybe plan the trip like in November, when you know at least it'll be hopefully 85,
Yeah, it's
because it's still
bad.
balls hot, but
Yeah.
not 100 degrees, because it's pretty tough when you're burning up and there's no shade at Disney.
Yeah.